Hi, I wanted to show you how Clearbooks can help you keep track of who owes you money, and also how to spot and correct and avoid a particular problem that quite a few of our clients seem to have with this aspect of the software. So, if you want to know who owes you money within Clearbooks, and the way to do this is click on Reports, then Popular Reports, and then Aged Debtors. This will then take you into a list of everybody who owes you money. If you look at this list and you think it looks wrong for some reason, then either it's because your bankings are not up to date, in which case you need to resolve that issue first and then come back to the debtors list. If your bankings are up to date and you still look at the list and you think that there's something wrong with it, for example, let's say we look at David Cook and we think, well, hold on a minute, I'm sure he's already paid that £120. Why is it still showing as outstanding? Then the chances are that you've probably done your explaining of your bank transactions incorrectly. So if you think that there is something wrong with David Cook's account, then click on his name and it will take us into his account. Then click on Full Statement and scroll down, and we can see all the activity in terms of invoices raised and outstanding and paid for David Cook. So you can see at the top here, here's our unpaid invoice for £120, and then further down we have all the invoices that have been paid by David Cook. So conceivably there'll be a long list here of invoices paid, but alarm bells should start ringing when we look at this top one, because we can see that it's prefixed with REC, whereas our invoice up here is prefixed with INV. When an invoice is prefixed with REC, that's a good indication that we've done something wrong when we've done our bank explaining. So the first thing we want to do is to get rid of this explanation so that we can re-explain it correctly. So if we click on the payment here, and then you can click on delete, and it will delete the way in which the payment has been dealt with. So we click there, and then it double checks that we want to get rid of both the payment allocation and the dummy invoice that it created. So we want to do both, so we click delete all. And now we can re-explain the payment, and I can show you what you did incorrectly. So go back to the screen in money and bank accounts, and now underneath the imported statements that need explaining heading, that transaction has reappeared for us to explain again. And so if we go into the explain screen, you can see it's defaulted to David Cook, and it says here, here's our invoice for David Cook, and it's saying, do you want to allocate that £120 receipt against this invoice from David Cook? And we do, so we want to click over here on the right hand side so that the payment goes against the invoice. Don't click down here on this blue button on the left hand side. If you do that, that's what creates the extra invoice, the new invoice with the prefix REC. So you only want to click down here if you've received some money from a customer and you haven't already raised an invoice. Say it might be they've just paid in advance and you can't be bothered to raise an invoice, so you just want the system to create the invoice for you and allocate the payment for you. But in 90% of cases you are going to have raised an invoice, and therefore you want to make sure that you click over here on the right hand side. So if I click there, then it deals with the payment for us. If I now go back into David Cook's account, you can see that there's just the one invoice here, just the invoice that we raised, and now the payment has been allocated against it. And if we were now to go into the aged debtors report, we would see that David Cook has now disappeared, and so we're happy that our debtors report is correct. So I hope you found that helpful. Try and remember this video, and if you do have problems when you go into your debtors report, then come back to this video and it will enable you to solve the problem for yourself as to why the debtors report is incorrect.